Hello, love. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. This is my first time ever getting without help, being able to invite somebody up. I'm so proud of myself.
And I'm just figuring out how to turn my camera on.
Yay! There she is. Um, yes, camera is on. And who is this? We must have an introduction to this little buddy.
This is Trooper, but I just started talking, so that means Lizzie's gonna come over too.
Okay.
I'm gonna take this light down. It is doing some weird things here.
Yep.
Yes, two labs. That means that I always have someone in my lap.
Absolutely. Oh, they're so cute. Hi, Trooper.
Hi.
Hi, Trooper. He's like, I'd rather just rest. Yeah, I love labs as well. Oh, howdy, partner. Thank you, Shelps. Thanks, Shelps. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do, because a lot of us know you, and then a lot of you guys still have not had the pleasure of getting to watch Dr. H's videos. So if you want to your comfort level, tell us a little bit about you, and then also my next thing was like, tell us more about like the family science. As a social worker, I was fascinated when you started talking about that. I'm like, why didn't we have this like as a resource available for our family? So I was fascinated. So if you want to let everyone know a little bit about you, that would be great.
Absolutely. I'm Kathleen. I'm Dr. H. I have my doctorate in human development and family science. They're both trying to climb my lap now. Graduated from Auburn University in 2018 with my PhD. And so family science this is a really unfulfilling answer. It is the study of families and family dynamics and relationships within families. I always say if you know the Bronfenbrenner model, kind of situates communities within history, within families, within individuals. We are the study of the arrows that go in between individuals and families and communities.
Oh, okay.
So that's what family science is. Family science is very similar to social work, but it's really hidden because we're mostly located at land-grant universities. And that is because of how we started. So we started out of the extension work at land-grant universities by a woman whose name I forget. I did post a video about it though. So it was obviously land-grant universities started because the federal government granted states the land to have different universities.
Yeah.
And part of that was that you have to give back information to the community. And what this woman realized is that a lot of the information that was being given back was about agriculture, keeping the animals alive, helping crops grow, but nothing for the women.
Right.
Who were the ones raising children, making clothes, preserving food. And so it was her goal to give back more information to them about how to do all of those things.
Fascinating. I love it. And then it just kind of grew from there.
Yes.
And then so for family stuff, like when I hear you talk about family science, but then also kind of in the realm of social work, is it kind of more that it's like specialized in a certain area? Like for social workers, we can specialize in like certain areas, right? So I did family, and then I did youth and young adult justice involved. So that's all I work with is somebody in the criminal justice system, whether they're in prison or getting ready to, FaceTime, getting ready to escape, not escape, calm down. I meant release, not escape. No one is escaping. Shit. So is it kind of the same in family science? Like you guys can determine where you guys want to focus? Nice. And what was your focus point then?
So my focus, I was really interested in the transition from adolescence to young adulthood. And how relationships can facilitate resilience. But my advisor at my PhD program looks at coercive control. And so I studied resilience in young adults exposed to domestic violence.
That's amazing. And that's huge because that's a huge population of the individuals that we're working with now, right? So a lot of times people will say, you're so old, why is it that you care about what these young individuals on TikTok are doing? Well, again, that's where my core experience is working with 16 to 25-year-olds that have gone awry, right? To try to help them bring them back. And so same thing, and a lot of time with you. And that's a lot of times it's because DV or childhood trauma in their home and not knowing how to make good decisions. And one of the huge topics that or conversations that we have on here, specifically with Bree, is, you know, she doesn't really talk a lot about family life. She's only ever talked about, in reality with her mom, she's only really said, I'm pretty. I don't have to do anything. Everything is just handed to me because I'm pretty. I didn't know I had to work. I thought being pretty, I could just use my, you know, to get what she wanted. And apparently that is what her mother did when she was younger as well. And so I think, again, it's full circle on how you're raised and how now she's in a situation to where she's doing the exact same thing. And look where she, you know, where that has gotten her.
Absolutely. And you also think about, you know, all of the same age range that are watching these guys, right? Like today, I was horrified by some of the statements both her and Santos made, right, normalizing and downplaying the domestic violence. And that's not acceptable for 16 to 25-year-olds to hear. It should not be normalized to them in any way, shape, or form. And that's setting them up to also experience it. And it's not okay.
Well, and not only that, they even have a younger audience, right? Like you're supposed to be 13 to be on TikTok, but we know. But they also stream on Kick and a couple of other platforms that do have a much younger audience. And I don't want this to all be about just Santos and 2K. Like I want it to be, because there's so many. Like, and we'll talk about a couple other couples that are kind of going through something. But there has been a lot of debate on the DVRO, right, for her, and whether at one time and point John was the aggressor and she was the victim, right, of DV. And none of us know because none of us were there. All we know is the verification that she has provided, and the verification that was provided were of bruises at areas of her body, like around her lips, the tip of her nose, different areas that the week before she stated she was going in to get filler in. Now, not saying that that's what it was, but also very coincidentally. Now, when I specialize, I'm a survivor of DV, so I held a DV caseload for about 1.5 years, but it was very triggering, so I switched sides. But I've never heard a survivor of DV ever mock or make jokes about DV ever. Like one of her Bree's favorite phrases is, if you act up, you're going to get slapped up. Just, you know, very frivolous with, just constantly makes, you know, DV jokes and whatnot. And that's not common of a DV. I've never heard a DV survivor ever crack a joke about it.
No. And I'm seeing comments from other people here in the chat, right, that, you know, they would never, because it's, I mean, I don't even have the words to describe what it's like to experience that lack of control and that fear, right? And if you know what that fear is like, it's not something that you think is silly.
Oh, thank you for asking, love. Ashley, thank you very much for asking. I know I had sent this to you in a message and I can't remember if you responded. I also have a YT page. Are you okay if I upload this to YT as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't like to do it unless I ask. So because some people, like, you know, on the East Coast, they have to go to bed. So yes, I will upload that over there. The other thing too that I did notice with Santos lately that I've noticed is he has a lot of tendencies of being the victim, right? Almost like the next day after there's a situation, he's on bright and early while she's still in bed and he's looking to shovel and he's like, well, I shouldn't have grabbed her phone. Like, what was I thinking? Like, why did I grab her phone? Right? Like, well, she did tell me not to take another, like, why would I take another drink? Like, if I would not have done, right, then that response would not have come. That's very much a victim, you know, the victim thought process. Had I not done, I was told, had I just listened, and I'm definitely not saying Santos is perfect in any way, stretch of form, imagination. We've seen him do a lot. But just the other night, we saw her also knock him in the face twice. Like, so there's something happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And he even said, well, she told me not to drink. And it's like, no, like it doesn't matter. There's nothing that you can do
Right.
ever that makes your partner putting their hands on you acceptable.
Mhm.
There's never a good reason for it.
Yeah. And you guys, the way I like to explain it sometimes to my younger clients, because that's often the thing, they'll be made to believe, I love you so much. That's why I care. It's just because I love you so much. Like, I just want what's best for you. That's why I just didn't want you to drink that much, because I didn't want you to look bad, etc. Right? So, and to them, that makes sense. So then when I switch it around and say, okay, so if somebody was to grape you and you were wearing a short dress, would it be the same thing as like, well, you were wearing something provocative, so, and it's always like, well, no, it's not the same. So it's putting it into different terms, because that's kind of the same thing. And that's why I say so many women and men don't report SA, because when I reported mine, going through that interrogation of, well, what did you do? What did you say? What were you wearing? And then the digging through your fingernails and going through that grape kit of typically male doctors, which I don't understand, doing the whole thing. It's a terrible situation. And that's almost more terrifying than than the act itself in some cases.
Yeah, and that's why so many don't report. They don't follow through with a DVRO. They don't follow through charges, because it's a whole lot of people asking them what they did wrong. And you're already feeling that internalized pressure, right? Because society's constantly saying that.
Right.
Right. And even here we have it playing out again, where if you see these people that you enjoy online repeating these narratives of it's the person getting abused's fault in some way, shape, or form because they were drinking or they did X or they did Y.
Right.
And you're getting that internal, and then you have to go through this process where you're going to hear it all over again. So many just go, it's not worth it. Right. I don't. And it's...
Especially if it then goes to trial, and then you have to sit up in front of all these people, including your family. And now courts, like it was bad enough before when courts have always been public, anyone could go in, but that wasn't common that people just went and sat in courtrooms, right, and watched trials. But now that they're streamed, it's very easy. So now anybody and everybody can watch and hear about every single detail. And so, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Really? Two people asked it at the exact same time. We were going to get into questions, but so they do have a question. What is the, or can we ask Dr. H to define coercive control?
Yes. So coercive control is the systemic intimidation, harassment, control, usually involves also physical violence, to kind of keep a survivor under the abuser's control.
And I think some of the examples that you gave when you were going through, actually, I'm going to do it this way, because a lot of us watched the video that you did on Brie and how she's using coercive control. Right. I'm pregnant. You can't do that because I'm pregnant. Well, I need to be able to go here because I'm pregnant. When she's not, the doctor literally just came out that she was at yesterday to get the shots. Just did a video today and said, because of HIPAA, he didn't say HIPAA, but because of rules, I can't release any information. What I will say is I had no pregnant people in my office yesterday or today. So he did put it out there that they do a test. Nobody was pregnant in his office. Okay. But there is another couple. Background. There's another couple on here, and they have a baby who's 5 months old. She has physical custody of the baby right now. There's no paperwork. She's refusing to let dad see the baby. And when he asks why, he's like she had a dental appointment. He's like, let me just watch her so you can go to the dentist office. Nope. She took the baby like at 10, or no, it was 10 o'clock my time. So it was like midnight to go get a tattoo. Well, the baby just sat in a car seat for hours at a tattoo shop. The dad's like, why won't you let me watch her? Her only excuse has been, well, I'm terrified that you're going to take her and not give her back. Now, he's never done that. She's never allowed him to see her. Isn't that type of the same thing under coercive control? I have the baby right now, and in order for you to see her, you have to see me too, because that's her thing. If you want to see her, you have to see me. So that wouldn't that be kind of...
Yeah, that's tracking on the same kind of, I have some sort of power, and I'm going to utilize my power to get you to do what I want you to do.
Right. And so for somebody in that situation, okay, how, while they're waiting to go through the court process, what would be some of your recommendations or any advice that you can give for the father in that situation? Because it's not like he can just go grab the baby, but he wants to see the baby. Like, what do you do?
I think holding boundaries is really important. Don't give in. And I know it's hard because that means you're not getting to see the baby. And I couldn't imagine not being able to see my 5-month-old. I freak out a little bit. I have a freshman in college. And if I don't hear from my freshman in college every day, I'm like, what has happened?
Right.
So until there is court ordered that she has to follow, don't give in. Because that is the thing about coercive control, is there's very little you can do with the person using it, except may keep them from using or attempting to use that power to get at you.
And so just to clarify, to make sure that I understand, so when you're saying don't give in, you're saying to the father, don't give in to her demands of getting to see the child to see her. Right? Yeah, that was the advice that I gave too. They recently happened to run into each other at the mall, and he kept walking because every time they see, well, I don't know about every time, but a lot of times they see each other, she accuses him of DV, but there's never been any evidence of such. She has then said that she would put in cameras in their house to prove that he's not assaulting her. But he's like, I don't trust to be around you. I just want to be around my daughter. I want to go to court. And so she then tried to blast him online and said, look, he was at the mall. He could have saw his daughter. I told you guys he just doesn't want to see his daughter because he just walked right past him. I sent him a message. You can see your daughter. You can come have lunch with us. And he said no. And so then she blasts him in such a negative way. And once again, this is where he makes his money, is on here as well.
Yep. So she can leverage that to almost financially as well.
Yes,
because that is definitely someone who loves coercive control tactics is definitely going to find financial abuse tactics as well.
Yeah, she does that as well. Thank you guys for answering. Yeah, I didn't want to say names, but yeah, it's Anti and Kiara. Because you guys, and I've seen a few messages, my mods, chef's kiss. This is not just about 2K and Bree, you guys. So if you guys showed up just to get information on 2K and Bree, this is not what this is about. This is about all of us getting the opportunity and chance to talk to Dr. H, learn as much as we can about this. This can help anybody and everybody in every situation. And like I say, I know a lot of you guys like to do the drama stuff, but that's not what I'm here for. Anytime we get a chance to get this type of information for free, that's great. The amount of money that is charged, I know on our end for one-on-ones and whatnot, is crazy. I like to do that for free on here. So I'm so thankful that Dr. H is giving us a little bit of her time today. And again, you at any time when you're like, okay, that's enough, please feel free. I don't want you to be held captive, but I wanted to get kind of a basis of what it is that you do, what coercive control is, and then kind of go from there. We can just, thank you, Brandy, eventually hopefully get into some other situations. Yeah, Ashley, for sure. Are you fairly new to TikTok?
Yes.
Okay.
I have been scrolling for a while, but
Mhm.
not posting for very long.
Okay. So have you heard about Valet?
A little bit.
Okay. I'm very curious on how this is going to go, you guys, because I'm not going to give my opinions or say a lot, but now that I know that family science and what it is that she does is almost like an arm of social work. Very curious to see what she's going to say and how close it is to what it is that I say, for all the people out there that call me a fake social worker. But anyways, a mess. Anyways, so
I love that Goodwill is just a store. And I'm like, do you not know what Goodwill does?
I truly think a lot of people don't, right? So I got it at first. And I didn't even know the amazingness that Goodwill did. And some people don't because they don't have it everywhere. But after I've explained it and done many videos and many lives about it, it's like enough is enough. And that's not the only place that I worked, but either way, it just, and why would they care? Like, if they don't like me and they're not coming to me for advice or whatever, why do they care what it is I do? Nobody will ever know, right? It's that hidden gem. But okay, so a few people have asked about your thoughts on Valet. And I'm not sure if I'll let you kind of figure it out if it's coercive control on dad's part or mom's part. So they were young. Alex is the dad. They had their second child before he turned 18, if I'm correct. He might have just turned 18. She's like 2 years older. Okay, so it was like a 16, 18, like they were in school together. Right. And so they had their first son, everything was fine, whatever. She got pregnant with her second child, and she said when the baby was, I believe, maybe 2 months, that she felt that the father of the child, Alex, had no connection to the baby, so she was going to force it upon him. And so she basically, I call ding dong ditch because I'm old. These younger kids call it door dashing. She went to the door, had the baby in the car seat, put the baby on the patio, knock, 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 ran, got in the car, and put it in reverse. And that was almost a year ago and hasn't been back. Well, except for tried to kidnap the baby a couple times. She has since said she has a connection with the oldest child, but she has no connection at all with the youngest child. She doesn't think about the child. There's no bond or connection there. She has said that she's gone back to Texas a few times to try to get the babies or to see the kids. The first time she showed up and Alex was there, so she kind of parked and watched the house and waited for Alex to leave, and then her and her mom went to the house. His mom was there. She tried to coerce her out of the room, like, oh, I want to change the baby, can you go get a diaper? She's like, there's a diaper right there. Oh, it's cold, can you go get a blanket? There's a blanket right there, right? So once they figured out they weren't leaving, Valet grabbed one baby, Valet's mom grabbed another baby, and they both ran out separate doors. As Alex's sister is coming up, a fight ensues. Valet's mom then sprays pepper spray that gets on the babies. Police and call a mess, right? So she hasn't seen the kids since, and she says that it's Alex's fault. And people ask me, yeah, warning again. Yeah, keep it cute in the chat or move along. This is for us to learn and whatnot, and you guys have full right to block or mute, block, whatever. Mute first. And so I won't tell you guys, I won't say what I thought. What would your advice be to either Alex or to Valet, whichever one you want to do?
Oh, so many thoughts.
Right.
So I did see the other day that Valet was complaining that he offered supervised visits and put her on child support. And to her, I would say, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you have to prove right now is that you have learned, right? Like, listen, and I was a very young mom too. But and your prefrontal cortex isn't developed, you're not making good decisions. Having 2 kids by the age of 20 is traumatic. Right? Like, and who knows what led to that.
Right.
Get a therapist. Take the opportunity being handed to you. Do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Put your head down and do the work. I think somebody said that she was looking at becoming an esthetician. Do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, figure it out. For him, keep boundaries up. Keep the boundaries up. Mm-hmm. Don't give in. Don't mess. Conflict is so bad for children.
Yep.
Right? If you can't get along, and I'm not saying you have to be best friends with your co-parents, right? But if you can't be cordial and kind to each other and polite in front of your children, mm-hmm. don't interact. Because that is better than fighting and carrying on in front of your kids. It's not good for their brain development. It's not good for their emotion regulation.
Yeah.
It's bad for them.
I tell everybody all the time, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I started my page, is positive co-parenting is the absolute best gift you will ever give your child. Beyond a car, beyond an education, anything. Positive co-parenting, if it's, not together. Even if it's together, people stay together in very toxic relationships thinking it's best for the kids. It's not. Me and my kid's dad broke up when our kids were 18 months and 6 months, and now they're now 31 and 32, and we are besties, and we have managed to positively co-parent all of these years and now co-grandparent, and it's a beautiful thing. So that is but what you said about Alex and Vale is pretty spot on to what I said. Of course, I went more on the Vale side. I said, had she stayed in Texas, because she did get an apartment in Texas, and she was in Texas for a while. I thought, had she stayed in Texas instead of going back to California for a couple of months, it would have showed stability in Texas, being sound there, cutting ties with the people where you were making really poor choices, where there was a bunch of rugs around all of the time, the schmexual side of things, all of that nonsense. And then again, the attempted napping of them does not help at all. Does not help the case. And the other thing too that I also thought that really didn't help is she was bragging about making $15,000 a month, knowing that Alex is barely scraping by working at AutoZone, and she refused to help with anything. One time, Jordan said, no, you do need to purchase some stuff, so they bought diapers, wipes, but that's one time in a year. And the courts look at all of that stuff. You were capable, you couldn't see them, but you were capable to provide them with all of their essential needs, and you didn't. Had they done that, then that would have been a positive for her, right? So it's always imperative to look at, you have to put your hatred towards the other parent aside and love your kids more than the hatred for the other one.
Work out your problems with the other parent in therapy. That's where that happens. That doesn't happen where the kids can see it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Anything else that you wanted to say? Are you open for some questions? Because again, I know our time difference is different, so I don't want to keep you too long. But people are dying to ask questions.
Ask some questions.
Okay, you guys want to go into Q&A? No, you didn't miss it. We just and again, it'll be up on my YT as well. So you didn't miss it all. I just don't want to because I could chat with her for hours. You guys know me; I never shut the hell up. I want to make sure though that you guys get a chance to ask questions. Okay, Kathy says, "What should be done when dealing with a coercive parent?" I know, it is so cute, huh, Emily? Emily said your voice is so cute. It is.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I sound like Minnie Mouse, and I'm aware of it. Don't worry. And somebody asked this in the video, and I love this term, gray rocking. It is the lack of response. The less interaction you have with someone who uses coercive control, the better. As much distance as you can put between yourself and the other person, the better. I know it's really hard when you have kids together. It is. And that's why we have things like the parenting apps where everything that you say to each other gets said in there. If you have to have dash cams when you hand kids off, or you have to have somebody else, like you have to go to a police station and have an officer or a social worker, or we have marriage and family therapy programs, oftentimes, social work programs, counseling programs will oftentimes let their master's students do that. If you go to like a therapy clinic or something like that, if you need something cheap, uh, they're always there. It's great if you live near a university.
Yeah.
As little interaction as possible.
Good answer. MW says, what does Dr. H think about Bree manipulating the courts, stating everything is a skit?
So I'm not a lawyer. Don't know anything about the law. So I can't tell you what I think will happen in the court case or anything like that. I don't think it's a smart move. I don't think trying to manipulate or lie to a judge is ever a good idea. Don't do it. Right. But that's the best information that I can give you.
I agree. Be honest to the judge. Now, however, I did read I noticed when we were reading the transcripts that John's attorney also stated that John is a persona online. Now, John doesn't do a bunch of skits. His is more of being a goofy type character, I think. No disrespect if it's not John. Maybe you're just goofy. I don't know. But I think his was more of that, to where hers is more of the party and DV stuff. Those are all just skits. So it'll be interesting. And the whole pregnancy thing. Because the judge asked how many times about the pregnancy and when are you due, and that her attorney skirted those. So to me, that's going to be the interesting part. Does her attorney know that she's not really pregnant? And if so, the way she skirted those answers, I know at least here, my judge, any of the judges that I worked with would hold not only her, but potentially that attorney in contempt as well, if they could prove that she knew. Because I found it so interesting. I think that judge asked on 3 different occasions, how far along is she? And her judge, did you hear that part, Dr. H? Where
I heard a little bit about it.
So basically, like one time she's like, so how far along is she? And Bree's attorney says, oh, well, she's like 5 days into her visitation. It was like such a random off the wall answer. And the judge, I can't remember exactly what the judge responded back, but she responded back again, alluding to, well, I hear that there's another one on the way. How far along is she? And she was like, oh, I think that one's going to be in about 3 weeks. So either the attorney is really just out there, or was trying to really just say, without saying she lied. We don't know. Listen, they're still working on it, Your Honor. We'll get back to you. Who knows? What can the internet do to help gray rock the coercive influence?
Yeah, I mean, don't watch them. Block them. Don't go engage in their stuff at all, even to hate watch, to yell at them. Just block them.
Exactly. You guys, Suck Gang, we just went through that, right? I love the fact that you guys go hard for me, but when you have somebody that is holding lives about you 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day, and averages 6 to 12 viewers average, and then they talk about me, and you guys come bombarding in, right, to protect me. She doesn't care that it's negative. Her numbers went from 10 to 200. She was salivating, right? And that's why I found that I was like, just ignore it. I blocked all of them, people that talk about them. I blocked absolutely anybody that goes over there. I don't want to see it. I'm always going to protect my peace. So we've seen that it's died down. So I think it's the same type of thing. Just block it and move along. Let's see here. I know I'm super far behind. People giving her a platform is BS. Ignore them. Who are you talking about, Unbothered? Oh, are you talking about, wait, yeah, I don't know who you're talking about, love. Cancel them, it needs to happen, yeah. Right, yeah, the court docs did state she was pregnant on multiple occasions. Can you answer Danielle's question? Yes, oh, here it is. Do you observe Bree having any attachment to baby W?
So, like affection and interaction, yes. You have to do the strange situation task in order to actually assess attachment in that young of a child. So you can't tell securely disorganized, anxious without doing that. But it's not unusual for a child of his age to not want to leave their primary caregiver for someone that they don't see very often for an extended period of time and then go back. They don't understand. They don't have emotion regulation. They don't have the language skills. It's strange. They know something is different. They don't know what. So I think that's pretty typical. I don't see any behaviors that we need to be severely worried about. And I answered this question as well in one of my videos, is I don't see anything that raises major red flags for me for her abusing Winter at all.
What do you think, and then MW, don't let me forget to go back to that. What do you think about, I don't want to say obsession. Obsession's not the right word, but her thing with keeping him on the bed all of the time. Why do you think that? Do you think that's just to control the space that he's in to make sure he's not getting, like, what is your thought? Because my youngest granddaughter is a month and a couple days younger than baby W, and there is no way in hell I would be able to keep that baby on a bed for any of it. I'm lucky it happens during nap time, okay? Let alone all day, evening, whatnot. So why do you think that's happening?
I just think that she doesn't know how to take care of a toddler. I think that the parenting classes that she's supposed to be doing would be really helpful. I think that it would be good for her to take even more than they're telling her to take. She stopped caring for him as primary when he was 6 months old. Right. And she still seems to treat him like a 6-month-old.
Yeah, that's right.
But he's not. He's a toddler. He is a toddling around.
It's a big boy.
He wants to play. He wants to engage. So trying to keep him, and it might be some of, or trying to suppress maybe some sadness around the fact that she missed out on a lot of the best parts, right? When they're that sweet, chunky little thing and you can just snuggle them all day, and that's not going to happen now, right? He's going to go. Maybe she feels like,
I would think that, not to catch up, but I would think that, except for the fact that he wants to cuddle with her, and she keeps saying, I hate the fact that he just wants to cuddle. I don't like that. I don't want to be, it's nice, give me a hug and then go. I don't like to be touched, but I feel like, again, that has, to me, that's going back to something in her childhood. There's a reason behind that, because today, my granddaughter just out of nowhere walked up and just put her little arms around my legs and just hugged my legs completely out of nowhere, and then and I just started bawling. Mind you, I'm with her every single day. She hugs and kisses me and tells me every day, right? But it was so innocent out of nowhere. And so the fact that she does that, to me, I feel like that's some type of trigger for her. And again, you guys, I'm very much pro 2K. You guys know that, but my main thing is I'm pro baby W. And I've said from the beginning, all I want is Bree to get the help that she needs so she can be the mother that baby W deserves. Because baby W deserves an amazing mother. And she could be that if she would get the help that she needs and accept that she has done wrong. Because right now she does not accept that she's ever done any wrong. And she always says, I have no regrets. I don't give up. I did it. Whatever. I'm going to deal with it. I don't care, and I'll do it again. And that's just the way she lives her life. But that doesn't end well with parenting. You have to have regret at time. You have to. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think some therapy. Therapy is never a bad idea.
Right.
Everyone can always gain something from therapy.
Absolutely.
And particularly when you have children, you need to figure out what you might be going through and what you might need to work through so you're not putting that onto your kids.
Exactly. Okay, so this question has actually came up a few times. I've noticed here in the chat, and I received it multiple times in my DMs when I announced I was going to have you on. What do you think? Oh, hold on, that wasn't it. Hold on, I'll come back to that one because I do want to ask that one too. What do you think about Santos's obsession with Baby W?
It's weird, right?
Even the feet thing, that gets me. Now, mind you, I also did 2.5 years working in community protection where all of my clients were either schmexual offenders or arson, right? And 99% were offenders, and I had one that was and that was it. So I always wonder, is my thought process sometimes pushed one way because of the horrible files that I had to read through? Because you read through, before you're allowed to be alone with said individual, we have to read through their entire file, which sometimes is their whole life, right? The feet thing, though, gets me. So your thoughts on that?
I don't know specifically the feet thing, but it's things like calling himself a stepdaddy.
Right.
And it's like, friend, now.
Friend,
you've spent like maybe a week with this child. You have not done any caretaking tasks.
Right.
Like, that does not put you in any definition of a stepdad. Like, it's weird. I don't know what's happening there, but it is strange. And it also sends up red flags for me, but I can't figure out what it is about it. But yeah, it's not surprising that makes everyone deeply uncomfortable. I don't know if it's against 2K, if it's just a winter, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I think one of the things, obviously the feet, because that's happened on multiple occasions, but also the whole Spider-Man thing. So they like to play characters on their FO page, and so he buys Baby W matching Spider-Man stuff. Well, first of all, stop it. Let's not quit putting the child in a situation that if the majority or even we'll just play devil's advocate. We're just going to say half of their followers are for that, and you're putting the child in the mix of that. That's already wrong, right? And then to say that, they're going to get matching haircuts, or they're going to, it's the whole Spider-Man thing. All of that is very weird. And I can't tell if it's the immaturity because he's so young that it's to try to piss 2K off, or is it because it's kind of what Bree is telling him to do to piss 2K off, because he doesn't even do any of that for he has a child. He does none of said things with his own kid. He doesn't even talk about the child. So it's very, very confusing.
And even in the best case scenario, and it's just rage bait, and they're only doing it because it gets them attention, because people find it upsetting, and so people want to say something to them about it.
Right.
That's still very weird. It's still very weird that you're deliberately blurring boundaries of things that should not be blurred in order to get attention, get money, whatever it is. It's weird.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. There's not much else to say on that, you guys, besides it's weird. Listen, if a judge says that said person cannot be around a child, there's reason why. That does not just randomly, the judge doesn't just go, you can't be around the child. It doesn't happen that way.
Particularly a named romantic partner. Like, it's not that uncommon for like parents to have the agreement that like you can't bring a new romantic partner around the kids unless you've been dating consistently for 6 months. But like to very specifically call out one parent's romantic partner and be like, that person, no,
Right.
it takes a lot in the court system.
Yeah. The way he reposts videos of baby W is strange. Absolutely. I would not be happy about that. It's interesting to me. I think that there probably should be at this point, a order, like a DVRO in a sense, maybe not DVRO, an anti-harassment order, a stalking order, something against Santos because of the amount of times and threats that are made, and that would put a stop to that. Let me see. Borderline obsession, yeah, the matching outfits always gets me. I think he's gonna go. Yeah, we talked about that. I think a lot of his rage bait. Oh, we can absolutely talk about that, Shy Baby. Just so people don't think it's just me saying something, because I'm the only one talking about this. Now, I don't know if I'm assuming you've probably taken some of the same classes or courses, but you guys, again, when we do reports and or case studies or whatever, we all choose different items for case studies. So not everyone's gonna know. She may not have read the same reports as me. But I brought up a situation on here where there is a couple. They have they're very toxic people individually, but together it's even more toxic, right? And I feel like both of them kind of thrive off of said toxicity. Now, it's not great because they have a very young audience, which once again is going to show these young kids that that's what it is. Anyways, so one day she comes on and says, my house is wrecked, it's destroyed. She shows her iPad, and her iPad had been pew-pewed. And a lot of people were, we have to use all these crazy keywords right on TikTok. So a lot of people were very, very concerned about her safety because of that. And I grasped that. My concern was her bed had been many, many, many times. And I said, look, see your face? Okay. I said, you need to get out immediately, because most people who've gone through that don't make it through if they don't get out on time, because that is a very personal attack. If they're doing that, they're actually physically visualizing you there when they're doing said thing. And so your thoughts on that?
Oh, I don't know which of those two is worse. They're both run immediately to the courthouse, get a good security system. That's terrifying. The presence of a firearm, of other weapons that they are willing to use is not. And particularly what is scary in that situation is, it takes up to 7 times for women to leave an abusive relationship, and when they leave, they are 10 times more likely to be killed.
Right.
And so you have to think about the escalation, even from that, when she leaves.
Right.
Get to another country if you have to. Like, that is terrifying.
And all she does is run right back to him. She just came on again. I was so proud of her. I was like, it was just last week. You guys were talking about Sunny and QT. She was like, sorry, I'm stressed. I'm late for my battles. I don't have any phones. She wouldn't talk about why she doesn't have phones, but he wasn't there. She finally met up with her old best friend, Kayla, which is from Flying Kayla. They had a great time. They looked like they were having a blast, and she was going to go to California to see her family and get away and think about things. And what do you know? He goes with her. He saw her, I'm sure, having a good time and having fun, and goes back. And I just keep saying the same thing. If someone's willing to break your only way to call to get help, again, the report that I did on the bed situation is like has haunted me all of these years, and that was probably 20 some years ago. It's haunting. Because it's something that they said that there's so much more likely to follow through with that act because they're physically planning it out. They're feeling what that feeling like. They actually get to, when you pew somebody, that could be, it was just a quick second decision. Oh shit, But the other one, you actually go through and you actually start to get that feeling of going through them. Anyways, I've told you guys, I've given you a few study reports that you guys can read on. It's terrifying. I am terrified for her. She won't leave. Again, it's been so many times, and I know it's average 7 to 10 times for somebody to leave, but she is dead set that she's the toxic one. And I'm like, no, that's what he tells you. That's what he wants you to believe. Leave, because I don't want to open this app and see that you're a hashtag.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, every single one of those risk factors, right, is getting checked off. The isolation, the financial abuse, the weapons in the home, this increasing severity of the violence. Ugh.
Yeah, it is. It's very scary. And it's crazy because a lot of people don't talk about them. It's rare. Like, you'll see people gossip, like, oh, here she goes saying this again for drama or for money, whatever. But there's such a bigger story behind them. Thank God they don't have any children together. Thank God. Because you can move on. It's a crazy thing. Another question. It's far up, but I thought it was a very interesting question, so I do want to ask it. So I hope that you're still here. I can't remember who asked it. What do you think of kids seeing? Or I guess I can't remember exactly how she worded it now, but basically, kids seeing, or the effect on children seeing the toxicity in home versus online. Like, maybe they'll see it online as they get older. Maybe this was a situation with baby W, because he's not around Bree that much. But as he gets older, he's going to start to see all of these things that she's said about him, or like the thing of, he doesn't know it now, but in 15 years I'm going to be banging one of his friends, or I can't wait till he's 21. Like, this time is so boring. Who wants to go to pumpkin patch? I just want to be 21 so we can party and drink and hang out, or the 1 month pictures where she's in a string bikini, and like those things are just weird things that he's going to see as a preteen, instead of seeing them online instead of in real life. Thoughts on that?
So we don't have any kind of research on that yet. That is the rough thing, is that research is slow. And that means that we're years behind where we should be. And I think there's two things at play here. One just being the conflict that you will eventually see and learn about. And two, whether or not the parent's actually really good at protecting their child from that. Kids are smart. And oftentimes parents will think that they are keeping their child from seeing conflict with the other parent, even domestic violence, and you're not. They're hearing it, they're seeing it, they're understanding what's happening. So I would imagine that a lot of these kids are going to figure things out younger than the parents might think that they are.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't think it's going to be much better than seeing the conflict.
Yeah.
In person.
Sorry, I got a phone call. Hold on, let me put my phone on do not disturb. Hold on. I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and somebody just pointed out, right, the other parents, the other kids.
Right.
He's not going to get kept from it.
No, there's absolutely no way he's going to be kept from it. And you guys, kids, like she said, kids are very smart. Even my kids, we didn't have the internet back then. So it's not like they could go back and they can research or whatever. But as I would with my ex-husband, so I have 2 kids, baby dad, right? So my older kid's baby dad, he's amazing. He's been there through absolutely everything. And then I have my ex-husband. And then when we separated, he was just like, I'm good, And so my older baby dad kind of just took over all of them. But I would still always say, Mommy and Daddy love you. This is for Mom and Dad. And finally, my youngest son, Jamal, said, Mom, stop saying that. He doesn't care. This isn't from him. He hasn't said that. When did he call you and tell you that? When did you stop saying? And I was like, damn. And he was 6. And he was 6. And I was like, okay. And this was, I had told the Salt Gang before, it was probably one of the most traumatized. I don't know what traumatized. No, it was traumatizing. It was our first Father's Day after we had separated. We had separated in June. So it was a whole year later. And in school, he had made a Father's Day gift. You know, they spend that whole week doing the Father's Day gift. And the teacher had said that he loved to be the first in line, to be the leader. That's Jamal. And he wanted to be in the back of the line this day. And she didn't know why. But nonetheless, he was. And she came back in and saw he had thrown his... Oh, this makes me so emotional. He threw his Father's Day gift in the garbage can. And all I could think about was all week that my baby is making whatever this is for his dad. And then at 6, he had to contemplate his whole thing. How am I going to get to the back of the line to make sure no one sees me? Put it in. You know what I'm saying? Like he's 26 now. It still shatters my heart. I called his dad and told him, he was like, well, I didn't need it anyways. You idiot. Like, it's not about that. It's about what he went through for a whole week. A 6-year-old should never, ever have to go through that.
This is very an academic thing to say, right? But I think people forget, like, at our core, we are pack animals. And we are evolutionarily designed to be pack animals. Right. And as one of the earliest things that kids learn, right? Attachments, social relationships, modeling, right? Like you say something, you're like, I'm just like my mother. It's because you're modeling that behavior because we're designed to do that. So you realize that kids, even from a very young age, can pick up on these really complex social cues and issues, even if they can't explain it to you in a way that makes sense for an adult. They're figuring it out. They're learning it.
Yep. I agree. I don't know. And for those of you guys that said, you know, to grandparents or uncles or whatever, absolutely. And that's what he did moving on. But this was his first year without his biological dad. We were married. We were in the same household all of the time. Big Dad, my kid's dad, was always a part of his life. So this was his first time of doing it. And that's why. And after that year, everything always went to Big Dad. He still calls him Big Dad to this day. They're very, very close. And so he always had a great father relationship. It was just that one time. And it still chokes me up to this day. And again, it was 20 years ago. Oh, let me see here. What else do we have? Oops, hold on. What should you say to a child when asking where their absent dad is? Oh, that's a very good question, Angie. Your thoughts?
Oh.
He's like, wait a minute.
Don't ask if you can avoid asking that question. I know people don't like the gender neutral terms for things, but we also have a growing population of grandparents that are taking care of kids. We have more diverse family structures now, more than we ever have in the past. So I think as much as you can not ask or assume what a child's family structure is, the better.
They're saying, what do you tell a child who asks where their absent dad is?
I think be honest as much as you can. There are some really fantastic children's books that talk about like different family structures, and there's some specific that are for like when parents are imprisoned, rehabilitation, things like that. So I recommend getting those and reading them with your child. But don't lie. I think that's the one thing. Like, you may not be able to tell them the whole truth, mostly because they might not understand it, but don't lie.
Right. And I think the piece of that, of the don't lie, absolutely, because once they catch you in a lie, they're going to question everything, and then it's going to be, well, you did, it's because of you. But I think it's imperative to release the amount of information to where each child's maturity level is at, right? You can put 10 8-year-olds in the room, and each one of those 8-year-olds is going to be at a different level. So it's imperative to know what your child's maturity level is and explaining. And let's say you have 3 kids, right? A 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old. You would explain it to them in different ways and potentially different times. But you have to really put it for them to understand and give them little bits of information. Don't overwhelm them. Be like, well, what happened was, so we were together and then he cheated, right? Your daddy and I loved each other very much. And that's how we got you guys, because of that love. And then, sometimes, remember when you guys used to have friends and then you weren't really friends anymore? That's just kind of how it worked. That doesn't mean he loves you any less, right? Something along those lines. And then leave it at that. If they ask a question, feed off of that question. Have it be question led. One thing that I know that I did for mine was we gave them notebooks and a pen to keep by their bedside table. And if they thought of questions, they could write it down, right? So if it happened during the middle of the night, they could write it down. So then they would come to us and ask us the next day, whenever they were ready. But they were very much specific to their questions. I didn't just bombard them with information. That would be my other two.
Absolutely. And again, never be afraid of a therapist. I think that people also think that, like, if you go to therapy, like, you're in it for years. You can go and see a therapist for like 3 sessions to talk with a therapist about, how do I talk to my child about the fact that we're divorcing, about the fact that, their father's not taking their parenting time. You can talk that through with a professional for a limited time and then not go back to therapy if you choose to do so.
And I think, and I'm not saying that this has happened to anyone. If you guys could do me a favor during this time, there's always certain times I'll ask for this, right? If you guys could tap the screen, send your daily Hermes. You never have to send me a gift. Just keep commenting so I don't get any violations. But if you have a parent maybe that's incarcerated, now, again, you have to use your best judgment based on what they're incarcerated for, right? If it's a crime against them, you, etc., that may make a big difference. But as Dr. H stated, there's several books out there for parents who are incarcerated. The prison system has changed so much. No, probably not all, but check into them if by chance there are. Out here, I know I have been on a board for a lot of the prison systems to getting parents actual visitation parenting time for weekends or extended weekends with their children so they're able to spend time with them, grow with them, and really be a part of it. And they make it to where it doesn't look like it's a prison. The kids know, obviously, right? But you get to take food in. You stay in like a mobile home. You get to take food in, cook food. They have rooms. They have games. They have activities set up. That is an amazing thing, especially if they're going to get out in a few years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever. If they're not going to get out for 20, 30 years, maybe not. I mean, obviously make that decision, have that decision with your child, but don't just brush it off because of that. But again, each child is different. Each situation is different. Each charge is different. So play each one of those roles very clearly. And it also depends on if the prison has any of those type of things. If it's a thing where you're just going to sit in a room with a bunch of other people and you don't know what their charges are and you're just sitting at a table for 8 hours, probably not the best situation. So think that through. I'm happy to help if you guys ever have those situations. That's something I'm very, very passionate about. Let me know. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
No, that's such a great thing to let people know. I feel like and this is why social work is the best thing ever, because people are so unaware of all the resources they have available to them. And if you don't know about them, you can't use them.
Exactly. A lot of them out here that have buses, you meet up and you'll take the whole bus out. It makes it easier because you're not going through the searching process when you get there. You're already doing it at the church parking lot. It just makes everything so much easier for the kids. So there are good resources out there. Andrew says, what about saying, oh, he doesn't come because he chooses not to? What about a parent saying that, you mean, Angie? Or a child saying that? A parent? I mean, I want to say I wouldn't say that, but we also can only defend them for so long. What I did and what I have coached some other parents on saying, I just stopped saying, oh, it's your dad's weekend. Your dad's going to come this weekend. I just stopped telling him. And then if he showed up, whoa, golly gee willikers, surprise, he's here. Because then he didn't have that anticipation of, my dad's coming, my dad's coming, my dad's coming, my dad's going to be here, he's going to be here, my dad's not here again. Why isn't my dad here? And then I have to respond. I have to answer to that, right? So again, each situation is completely different. I would just leave it as, if it shows up, a surprise. But I always tell you guys, the worst parent is not an absent parent. The worst parent is a popcorn parent. If a person pops in and out of a child's life, you're doing more childhood damage than anything else. I would take it back to court. Say, listen, here's all the dates that he's missed, that he has not been, and here's the responses of my child, and get that taken care of. Just get it removed so he doesn't have to have them, as you're doing more damage.
I've even seen on Etsy people selling spreadsheets for you to keep track of when somebody doesn't take their parenting time. So download one of those spreadsheets, keep track of it, because consistency is good for children, right? Absolutely. Even if it's the case that you're consistently gone, that is still better than the popcorn.
Absolutely. Because again, you're just popping in long enough to remind them that they exist. Once a child gets back into a flow of a situation, right? Whether it's just with mom and, okay, I go to school and I got basketball this day, I got baseball here, and I got to do schoolwork, and it's like, oh, dad's here. Oh, now I have to do this, so I have to miss this, but I'm going to hang out with my dad. Oh my God, that was so much fun, because, they only get them for a day or two. And so then it's like that Disneyland parent, and then they come back and they're angry and they're mad. And we then have to deal with said situation and go back into it. And it takes that time. It throws them completely off a situation. Again, therapy. I'm a huge advocate for therapy. Going to therapy doesn't mean you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It means that you're serious about your health and your well-being and your mental health and your kids, everything. Family therapy, individual therapy, every therapy, get a therapist, therapy. Okay, I love it.
Therapy is always a good thing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, like my age and older, it was such a like, oh, did you hear that Gladys has to go to therapy? Therapy for what? Oh my God. Like, it was like a huge, it was only, you'd have to be committed if you're going to therapy, when that's not it at all. Having a therapist really is just having somebody who's completely non-biased on any situation to listen to you and give you great advice. Yeah, you can talk to your friends, you can talk to your family members, you can talk to whoever else, but 99.9% of the time they're going to be biased in one way, shape, or form, right? Towards one way or the other. So you're not really getting necessarily the actual, non-biased, thank you, love, non-biased opinion. So that's why a therapist is imperative.
Yeah.
Susan says, I swear I can't type today. Honey, I swear I can't type most days anymore. Let me see. Thank you so much for all this information. This is so awesome. You're welcome. Yeah, thank you to Dr. H. You guys don't tell her, but maybe we can get her to do this like once a month with us. Or more.
I could do that.
I just think this is so important and so amazing to have people, and make sure if you guys are not doing so, you guys don't even have to leave here. You guys can click your name. Please make sure you guys are following her, because I think it is so imperative to have these great resources and conversations right here on TikTok. It doesn't have to be about the drama and whatnot. Again, if you have somebody that you can talk to and ask questions to for free, what a blessing, right?
You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, that's why what we are doing here is so important. I mean, 1 in 4 women will experience some form of domestic violence in their lifetime. And think about all of the women that you know. And while we might use the drama to explain these things, by learning about things like Darvo from Bree using it, now you know when someone else is doing it to your friend. Now you know when somebody's doing it to your coworker, to your sister, to a loved one, and you can intervene.
Absolutely. What would you say, speaking of that, because I think that is so important, and again, I know that this answer is really going to be based on each individual, right? Because everybody responds and acts differently. But what advice would you give to somebody if they were to come to you and say, listen, my friend, sister, coworker, whatever, I know that they're in this type of situation, right? There's a DV situation going on. What can I do? What advice can I give? What would you say?
So the first thing that I would say to that person is, regardless of advice, document. If you independently are writing down as you go when you know that there's an incident happening or they're doing something to your friends, being able to use that in a court case is going to help quite a bit if it does go to court. And it's not just like, oh, I think I remember. No, every time that I saw a bruise on my friend, I wrote it down with the timestamp in a Google Doc. Perfection.
Especially
other than that, yes. Oh yeah, get a picture with that, and it's again timestamped.
Yeah.
Perfect. Don't try to pressure your friend to leave. I know that that's all what we want to do, right? We want to protect our friends, and it's coming from such a good place. You love them. They're in physical danger. You're just trying to get them away from the physical danger. But remember, their perception of their relationship and how other people view them is warped. And so when they hear you say, just leave, I need you to leave, they're hearing judgment, not love. So come with not curiosity, but openness. Listen to them. Call your state's DV council. Ask them what resources are available. So you have them in your back pocket as that person starts to seem like they're willing to hear about some resources. Let them know that you love them, that you're always there, that you're a phone call away should you ever need me. That's the best things. Those are the best things that you can do.
Absolutely. 100%. And I want to add a little bit to that in a different way, because I always tell you guys, parenting becomes the hardest when your kids become adults or over the age of 18, because they no longer have to listen to you. And I often say it's equivalent to watching a horror flick, because you know that decision that they're going to make is going to lead them to heartache or whatever the case may be. But the more that you try to push them away from said individual who's hurting them, all you're doing is pushing them closer to them and further away from you, right? So 100% agree with everything Dr. H said with, dates, times, whether a said person told you to document it. If you notice bruises, try to be slick with taking pictures, all of those type of things. Oh, no judging. Always let them know. Let them talk without interrupting. Just let them talk and just let them know, I'm here to support you, whatever you need, right? And then as they get more comfortable, on the flip side, especially if you notice that it's increasing, depending on the state, you have to check your state rules. I live in a state where DV is the victim does not have to press charges. The state will press charges. So if you have enough evidence, you can anonymously take that down, provide the police with all of the evidence that you have, and they could, if they have enough to make an arrest, they can go and do that at that time, and that person can be held, and that could be enough time for that person to, thank you, love, to get away. It could be enough too to be like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean. So you really never know what you're going to get. So just listen, support, and again, if it's with adult children. And the other thing, it'll be the hardest thing you ever do. It's okay to say no. When they call and say, I just need to get away for a day. I just need to get away for a day. I just need you to pay for me to do this for a day and then I'll leave. It's okay to say no. Because each time you say yes for just that day, you're enabling them, because all they're doing is they're having that break and then going back. And that means that they're going to potentially stay. And saying no one time can really save their lives or change their lives. To actually realize, shit, what am I going to do? I got to figure this out my own now. And not in every situation. Again, you have to know your child before you do that, right? You really have to know your child. That puts you in a tough situation, but there's something to think about.
Absolutely.
Unbothered said, my daughter was taken to the hospital. He was taken away in cuffs. Her friend saved her. Amen to them. Thank God. They make no changes with their actions. That's from Angie. Parenting is the hardest, most painful thing I've ever. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, I say it all the time, especially when they're teens or, when they're adults. Now, I'm pretty much out of the woodwork, right? Because my youngest just turned 26. I swear they do grow eventually, right? So now they're 26, 27, 30, 31, and 32. So it's not as bad. But I tell you, all this gray, I swear, came from 18 to about 25. That's where that came from. Not any other part of their life. It was rough. I needed help.
I believe it, man. The ability to make adult decisions without a fully formed prefrontal cortex,
right?
Not a great combo. Just not.
Definitely. Neza said, how do you help with someone who got caught in the SW? I laugh because without even knowing, because I've been a social worker for almost 32 years. January will be 32 years. Anyway. So mine is Angie W, the SW. They all giggle and laugh because SW now means something completely different. Okay, so mine was not that. But anyways, Neza says, how do you help with someone who got caught in the SW, so the schmexual work, life, and rugs? Wait, what do you mean, Neza? I'm confused on the question. What do you mean, how do you help them? Got caught in like what way? I'm confused. Unless do you got it? Dr. H, do you know what she's meaning by that?
I think, how do you help them get out of that? And my response to that question would be you contact a professional. You have to understand that there's a point in time in which you, as a family member, as a friend, you can't help. You don't have the skills, the knowledge, the tools, the access to the resources, and you have to hand it over to a professional. And I think that's anytime substance dependence is involved, it's time for a professional, because it's so hard as someone so close to that situation to take a step back and see the patterns and to hold boundaries. And you really need someone professionally who has the skills to help you.
Right. Especially like you said, with substance abuse, that substance is more powerful and more important than anyone or anything else, right? And you don't want to say the wrong thing. And it doesn't really matter what you say, because if it's not something that you say that's going to get them to the substance, they're not going to listen anyways. It's imperative that they get that. But this is the other thing. Even if you get them help, if they don't want help, it's not going to matter, right? That's why when we talk about people going to court-ordered rug treatment, it doesn't help because they're not ready. That's why my program was so successful, because when I applied for the grant to get it, I said, I do not want it court-ordered. These young men and women have to want to come to my program because it's not going to be successful. Oh, I can just go to there. You order me to go to there. I can hang out with this dingbat lady and just follow whatever it is that she says, and that's going to keep me out of prison. Great, I'll do it. No, they have to want to be there, and they had to want to go through all the steps, and that's why the success rate is very high. Court order stuff doesn't work. Okay, I'm gonna read these last two questions because I don't want to hold you too long. I'm trying to be very cautious of your time, but I'm so happy to know that you're willing to come back and do this again because this is so beneficial for so many people. Okay, Nicole says my 16-year-old went to days today. Wait, I don't know what that means. IDK, what you can it maybe juvie? I am not okay today. Nicole Love, I'm not sure what you're saying. My 16-year-old went to maybe DYS today? Or maybe that's Division of Youth Services. Maybe that's what you guys call it up there. IDK, what can make a maybe juvie? I'm not okay today. Well, you should be able to call and get information, but Nicole messaged me and I can see what I can do to help you. I'm assuming DYS is like some states it's DCFS, some places it's CPS. If there was a crime committed, then yeah, they probably took her to juvie. She would later be released to you unless you were a victim of an assault, most likely. And again, every single state is different. That's why it's really hard to give actual advice because every single state is different.
Yeah.
My sister's by moved. Wait, what? My sister's by moved her an hour away, isolate her, monitor her text and phone calls.
Yeah.
Do you understand that? What am I missing? Maybe it's my sister's boyfriend. Oh, maybe it's my sister's boyfriend, I bet you. Moved her an hour away, isolated her, monitored her text and phone calls. Okay, got you. Okay, I got you. Yeah, that's a dangerous situation.
Yeah, it is. So we call them different types of domestic violence. And the two most common are coercive control and situational couple. And the coercive control one is the one that is more deadly, more severe, and these types of behaviors go on. It's isolation, control, monitoring, and it's very difficult on the families. It's rough.
Yeah. It is very, very, very hard. It is youth services. Do you think? Okay, yeah, DYS. Would you put Sunny? Sunny is the one that I was telling you about that's with the boyfriend. They have no kids. He's the one that the bed and pewed the thing. Would you put her in that category, the most dangerous category?
Oh, yes.
And of course, after she said it, right, she comes online and she says that he did all of this. She has the camera footage, blah, blah, blah. The next day, she was like, you guys, it was just a skit. And so many people believed it. And I'm like, you guys, it's not a skit. How do you know? You don't know them. Like, in order for things to be a skit, they would have to make sense and money, right? Why would somebody go online and do a skit ruining all of the stuff that they need to make money, having to buy a new bed? It was windows. The walls were spray painted. She just moved into the house. She had just bought a house. All of this stuff. You're not making any money off of that. The skits are when they do, they do corny, goofy things and have them walk through a thing, a doorway and the water falls up. Like that stuff is skits where you can make money off it, but completely damaging stuff. People said the same thing about Clover and QP. And now I'll explain that one real fast before I go. People said, well, how come I wasn't as enticed with the Clover situation as I was Sunny? Again, because my report was all on the act of on a bed and how individualized that is, how personal that is, and how dangerous it is. Clover is a female. QP was the boyfriend. Again, very, very toxic. Substances, alcohol involved. And she was walking around the house while he was on live, and she just had had a, right? And was just slashing like the curtains, the couch, the things, but it was very frivolous, right? It was just like a dangerous activity. But the stabbing of the bed on her side is, again, that is what studies show, I don't know what he was thinking, allegedly, supposedly, possibly, all the legal terms, they're physically visualizing you there and feeling that motion, and it gets them off in a sense, right? So Clover, yeah, that's a dangerous thing. Anybody with a weapon, that's a dangerous situation. She was just irritated and was just ruining his stuff because she was pissed because she wasn't getting what she wanted, and it was just frivolous. That's why they were very different.
And the intentionalness of, like, the fear that you're trying to inflict in that person. Like, kind of throwing a dysregulated fit at anything versus, like, I'm knowingly doing this thing so that you know that I could do this thing. It's very different intentions.
Sorry, I want to make sure I got that back. I did that one. What's any? How you help someone that moved on to a new relationship after husband passed away within the first year because she feels she can't be alone. Oh, I think with that one, she kind of basically what she's saying is, can she help somebody like a friend whose husband passed away and she's already moved on to a new relationship within a year because she feels like she can't be alone? Is it because she feels like she can't be alone, or is it because she really found somebody? Some people, we all grieve differently, right? Maybe she grieved that. I don't know. I think, well, I'll let you answer. I answer shit all the time. I'll let you talk. I was just gonna go.
No, that was going to be my question back was, do you need to help this friend? Like,
Right.
I understand, you know, the wanting to protect your friend from being hurt or from any sort of potential thing, but do you need to step in? Is your friend in harm's way, right? Like, are they at risk of, like, are you afraid that this new partner might, like, financially harm them, physically harm them? If not, like, you know, maybe your friend's just happy to have somebody to hang out with. Maybe it's not that deep. Maybe they do feel like they found another person to be with.
She said that it's a close family member. Her new relationship isn't good. I think then, W Mom, I think that's going to be one of those situations. And then you guys want to finish this up, and then we're going to do this very last question, and then we're going to let Dr. H go. She's on a later time frame, so I don't want to hold her as much as we love this. She may not know right now. Again, I think it goes back to what we talked about before, right? Documentation. Documenting what it is that's not good about it, the things that she's saying. Right now, sometimes we just have to kiss a few frogs when we get out of a long-term relationship. A husband, husband has passed, a spouse, whatever the case may be. We got to kiss a few frogs before we find our prince again. So she may be going through that. But again, document what's going on, and so that you have that information when it comes back around if needed. Okay, last question for Dr. H, because this has been amazing and I've seen it a few times. Can you ask her to talk about her video about not being able to tell narcissist based off only clips? And then right below it is, how about the definition of narcissism? You must have done a video about that maybe today that I missed. So I think that's what they're asking. If you could talk about that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Somebody asked me, they said, there's lots of debate on the internet over who's the narcissist, Bree or 2K, and I said neither. Neither of them are narcissists. And I said, I'm saying that for two reasons. One, I don't think people understand how incredibly difficult it is to diagnose a personality disorder. So a narcissist is like a popular psychology, a pop psychology term. It's not based in science or empirical evidence. You're talking about narcissistic personality disorder. And it has very specific criteria in the DSM. And it can take 12 to 18 months of intensive therapy to diagnose someone with narcissistic personality disorder. There's no way that you could see clips of someone on the internet. And you mentioned this earlier, Angie, about like the persona of being online. Right. That's always going to happen, right? Like you're going to be seeing a very specific kind of angle of their personality coming out online, and it's going to be a little bit exaggerated when they're online. So you are not seeing the things that you might need to see in order to diagnose someone with a personality disorder. And I said that I think people use the term narcissist so often because they don't have terms to explain what they're seeing. So you can only use the terms that you know. And if you don't know the term course of control, and these are the behaviors that you're seeing, and if you don't know Darvo, then you're saying narcissist because you have no other information to use to explain what you're seeing. And that's why I think people throw it around all of the time. So again, I never took the triple P. I have never been licensed. I don't think I'm eligible 10, 12, 15 years on after my master's to even take the triple P. So, and I think be able to diagnose it that way.
Yeah, and I think people get confused too, like in regards to like now, and it may be very different for what you do, in regards to licensing. And I grasp where you're going in order to do the triple P. That's something totally different. But in social work, you only need a license if you work in a clinical setting, right? So if we worked in a hospital or a psych center or something along those lines, that's the only time you really need to be licensed. And so since neither one of us are licensed to diagnose people, that's not something that we can do. But I do think that helps because I know a few years ago, probably more now, 5-10 years ago, Narcissist came out, and once one person was diagnosed, it seemed like that was the dang word, right? Same thing with like ADHD. As soon as that came out, boom, everybody was ADHD. And then narcissist, everyone has that. And then border personality disorder, everyone has that. It's like people just, like you said, they don't know of all of the other stuff. And so they're trying to title it something. So I would absolutely agree with you. Thank you.
You're trying to explain what you're seeing that's wrong, but you don't have the correct term in your toolbox to use.
Yep, absolutely. And again, when people they come on here, now I'm not talking about stuff like that we do, right? Because we're professional women who come on and talk about different situations or whatever the case may be. We're talking about the stuff that people that they choose to put out on their own onto the internet, and then we go over it and use that to help other people. But I'm talking about people that like Bree and 2K and Santos and Sunny and QT and Stella and Fly and Kayla, all that stuff, where this is their job. They come in and they do act out certain things, and they do kind of like not beef up, but become more grandiose maybe than they would in their normal life. That doesn't mean that their behaviors are not still their behaviors. It's not still what they do. They make it more grandiose to make more grandiose money and get people to stick with it. It's a toxic lifestyle. It is very much a very, very toxic lifestyle to have to make money off of always being either under the influence of something or always being in a fight with somebody. And unfortunately, in this past year, like 5 or 6 kids were born into this. And shit, I never thought I would say this. Coco in Memphis right now, well, in my opinion, Allison is a phenomenal mom. Allison is doing a great job. But I never would have thought, because I don't care for Memphis at all. But he seems to have really changed himself. And they seem to be doing really, really good. So I'm really proud of that growth and change. And I think to be able to say from where Memphis was, 4, 5, 6 months ago, to where he is now is night and day. So if you want to make the change, you can, but he had to have wanted it, and he did, and he's doing a great job. I will always, even if I don't like them, I will always give kudos where kudos are deserved. Yes, and Coco looks so happy. And Coco's always been a great mom. Coco looks so happy. So crazy.
Transitions are opportunities, right? Like
Yep.
they are times of risk, but they're also times of opportunities. And if you can latch on to the positives and the opportunity, you can make great changes in your life.
Absolutely. I know he does. It's so funny. Mateo has a little crush on Leo. So cute. Well, I don't want to hold you any longer because I know it is late for you, but I tell you, this has been such a blessing. We'll have to talk offline. I would love to do this more often because I know there's so many more questions that I didn't get to, and I know as it gets out, to more and more people that we're doing this, we'd be able to help so many more people, and this is truly what my page and my panel is all about. And the Sock Gang truly is the best gang of all of the gangs in the gangland. Okay, we are pretty dang amazing. So I just appreciate you giving us this time so much, and yeah, we'll have to talk and see if we can do this a little more often, see how many more people we can continue to help on these tickety-tockety streets.
I'm so glad we found each other. Thank you all for sending her my video. This is fantastic.
Yes, absolutely amazing. Everyone says thank you so much for coming. Make sure you guys all follow. I think a lot of them already did follow you, so we'll continue to push that. We got to get her numbers up because she deserves it, and people need to be able to hear her message. She's beautiful, amazing, and again, these are the people that I want to really, really push on here, is people that come on here that want to share their knowledge and expertise to be able to help others. Not everybody just has access to this type of knowledge and information, and so why not make it? And then if we can get AA Law Talk, who I absolutely love and adore, she's a family law attorney. She practices out of California and Oregon, so she has come on live a couple times. That would be great to add in that extra piece too. So anyways, we'll talk offline to see some great things that we can try to develop and continue to grow. I think that would be amazing. So thank you so much for coming and joining us today, and we will talk very soon. You're welcome to hang out if you want to. I don't want to feel like I'm kicking you off. I'm terrified of holding you captive.
It's late here and I have to be up in the morning for work.
Yeah.
So I'll head out. But thank you so much for having me. Thank you all for your questions and all the kind words. I really appreciate it. This was my first live experience ever. And so I'm figuring out all the things that are going off at all times.
Listen, I do it every single day and I still struggle. Listen, they laugh at me all of the time because I struggle, okay? I wasn't even sure if I was going to, that was the first time, you're the first person that I was able to figure out how to even get up here. So I'm proud of myself, okay? So I will help you, since you probably don't know how to get out, I will help dismiss you out, and then I'll send you a message and we'll chat, but you get some sleep, and thank you again. You're amazing. All right, bye, love.
Have a good night, everyone.
What an amazing live. How cool was that, you guys? Oh, I adore her. Man. It's funny earlier. Oh, thank you, Dr. H. Earlier today I was like, oh, I'm starting to get a headache. I don't know. I'm like, no, I want to do this. And again, this is what I have envisioned when my page started growing. This is what I envisioned doing. Not just talking about people's situations on there. That's what you guys want to talk about, and I'm here for it. Oh, don't worry. As soon as I get off here, I'm going to download it. I will stay up late. I will download it and get it up on YT. So no, you guys will be able to watch it all. It was absolutely amazing. And I truly hope that we can continue to work together and do more lives, to be able to have these resources available to people for free right here on TikTok is amazing. It truly, truly is amazing. Yeah, she is absolutely, adore her. Yep. So we gotta get her page up there. Yeah, this was a really good night. I'm so excited. So, okay, let me ask you guys then. Let me know a few of your guys' favorite things that we did or talked about. Like, was it the, like, whether it was the, I don't know, the Q&A, or was it, you know, asking, like, me asking specific questions or going over specific things we've done in our career, whatever. Like, what are things that you would like to see us do more often? Are you serious? Scotia Santos went into 2K's live earlier and 2K put him in his place. This guy, he's never gonna learn everything. I love you. This live